What up, y'all? What up? What up? Big news out of the WNBA today in free agency. It's big because the Indiana Fever are involved, and I don't know how to put this, but they're kind of a big deal. Their practice facility has many leather-bound books and smells of rich mahogany. No, I mean, seriously, though, I mean, the Fever are the biggest team in the league, one of the biggest teams in sports now, I would say. So any move that they make is going to get outsized coverage, especially from me. But regardless, the move that they made today is exactly the kind of move that I think the Fever needed to make. It's almost a perfect fit, right? It's a perfect fit because they bring in Natasha Howard, who addresses their needs. I've been saying forever that the Fever didn't need this home run splashy move. They didn't need the move that makes you go, holy crap, the entire landscape of the WNBA has shifted. I mean, that's always great. But their first move, their first order of business had to be keeping together their foundation, had to be keeping together Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell. Of course, Kelsey Mitchell was the one who was a free agent, so they had to sign her, right? Like they had to bring Kelsey Mitchell back, which they did. And that was the beginning of what would be a successful free agency with any other moves of significance made. And they made another move of significance in bringing in Howard, who's a veteran, been around the block, obviously, in the league, is a proven winner, 3-time champ, is a proven defender, 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, and all those things. Like, there you go. How does it get better than that? I mean, 2019 is a while ago, so I'm not saying that Natasha Howard is still necessarily in her absolute prime, but as a defender, but she had a good year last year for Dallas, scoring the ball. Not much of a shooter from the outside, but I think they're going to lock her in the lab, and she's going to need to work on that corner three for the spray outs. Those are going to be a lot of shots. She can pick and pop with Caitlin. She's a rim runner, and then she's a dog, a defender. Which is the Fever needed defense and rebounding. And they needed an upgrade at that position. And they got it. I think, unless something changes from here now, I think that's their starting five, right? Boston, Howard, Hull, Mitchell, Clark. Starting five. What does that mean for Alyssa Smith? Who cares? It means she's not in the starting five. That's the most important thing. I mean, I think they'd be better off, both parties, separating and moving on. But, damn. They also have the draft pick, by the way, too. The Fever have the draft pick. So I think it's fair to say they flourished in free agency so far. They accomplished number one priority, locking in Kelsey Mitchell. Obviously, keeping the best backcourt in the WNBA intact there. And then on top of that, they added to the core. So it is a move of significance in that sense, right? Like not every move has to be on its own earth shaking and ground shaking. But this is a complementary move. And it is an upgrade. It is an upgrade to a team that wasn't all that far away. I mean, think about, all right, so let's just look at the Fever for a second, fairly unbiased, right? Like, objectively, this was a team that improved as the season went along and wound up making it to the WNBA playoffs. They were second half of the season, best offense in the WNBA. They needed probably an upgraded coach and a little bit of a personnel upgrade around the edges. They changed the coach. I mean, they changed the entire front office, really. That shows you how seriously they're taking the business. They changed the entire front office, brought in brand new executives, and then on top of that, they go and re-sign Kelsey Mitchell. Of course, bring in Stephanie White, which preceded that, which, is another move that counts toward that improvement. And then they bring in Natasha Howard. So without another move being made, let's say they're done. Let's say that was it. And I'm not saying they're done. They could make another small move. I'm not, or maybe even another big move. I have to look at the cap situation. But let's just say that was it. Let's just say that was it for a second. So how did they improve? Well, they got a better coach. That can lead to, some results, right? They added a starter. That can lead to results, right? And then they have another year of continuity and another year of experience for Caitlin Clark specifically, who we know has been locked in the gym. So those are just some of the ways that they got better. And I think they certainly got better with this Howard move. I don't have that much time this afternoon, I'm squeezing this one in for you guys because I have to I teach a basketball class, youngsters, on Friday afternoon. I have to run to that in just a little bit, but I wanted to get this in. So my spiel is done, and I will start getting to the comment section about this and stay on. I got about an hour of total time. So, obviously I'll prioritize the super chats and the member chats. Please get your thumbs ups and all those other things in here for this Friday. I guess it's post lunch, right? It's not lunch anymore. It is post lunch, but afternoon matinee. I mean, I've been going at like 4, so it's not like I'm starting real late in the day anyway. But nonetheless, wanted to squeeze this in for you guys. So let's start with Kevin Zwicker, who says, would Howard be considered a blockbuster? No, I wouldn't consider it a blockbuster, but I'd consider it big. How's that? It's a big move for the Indiana Fever. I think I called it massive, which is a synonym for big. It's not like those two words are that different. But I certainly think it's a move of significance for Indiana. It's not just, oh, interesting. I think it's a legitimately significant move. Definitely a legitimately significant move. And again, it addresses the team's specific needs. AJ says going to start calling your hairdo the Cheryl because it swoops downward now. Does it? My hairdo. I don't have a hairdo. I just kind of I do it differently every day sometimes too. So it depends. As long as it's presentable. The swoops. They so I don't know if you guys follow that what's that site called? Sports Keto or whatever. They be writing up a lot of what I say here on this channel, and they took my tweet from the other day about Cheryl Swoops when Kelsey Mitchell re-signed, and they gave Kelsey this big hero's welcome. I said, don't let Cheryl Swoops see this. They wrote up an entire article around that tweet. Cheryl Swoops must be, where is this? We got to check in. I'd love to hear from Cheryl right now. How's Cheryl feeling and doing? She all right? She good? Because she was the one insinuating all these people were dying to get out of Indiana. Kelsey Mitchell specifically. She's like, Kelsey Mitchell's an unrestricted free agent. I hear rumors that everybody wants out of there. Nobody wants to be in that locker room. By the way, there's not that many free agents left out there now. Now we We got this Sabali move. We'll see. I mean, it seems to be that Sabali is going to wind up with the Liberty or the Mercury, right? So, are there other big free agents left? I mean, the overseas players, like if Emma Miesemann were to sign, that would be significant. But other than that, I think the big all the big dominoes have happened now. Essentially, the best players are off the market. Kennedy Carter's still out there, but I don't think any team is interested in her. I actually think there's a chance her time in the league is done. Time in the league may be done. All right, let me start up at the top here. Joe Lala says EW is probably gone, right? How about Dantas? Yes, I think Erica Wheeler is gone. Look for the Fever to either develop one or sign a backup point guard. But Wheeler was making a lot of money, obviously a vet. And from the stuff she's posted on social media, I get the indication she won't be on the team for too much longer, or isn't going to be on the team next year, I guess is the way it should be said. She's a free agent, so it's not like it is what it is. But Dantas, I think, is more likely to still be there as a bench player. I think Dantas is saying she plays on the Brazilian national team. I think she does, which is who the Fever are playing in that preseason game back in Iowa. They're returning to Carver, Hawkeye Arena. Jody Park says Howard is an above-average forward, but not considered blockbuster, in my opinion. She's only 6'2", but plays much bigger. She's definitely an upgrade, though. Yeah, exactly. I think we're on the same page. A blockbuster might be overselling it, but big, I don't think is. And again, it's like, filling a position of need. A specific area of need for the team. That's the main thing. Is a very specific area of need for the team. And that's the position we've been talking about. They need to get better at, and they did. So they've got their starting five now, I believe, after this move. JD Mack was laughing at something I said. I don't think so now. I don't think they're good. I think the Sabali Vadim idea is just completely off the table, in my guess. Not to say they won't possibly trade Smith and whatever, but I don't think it's going to be for Sabali. Cindy Hudson says she might be better playing on a team who appreciates her. Who are we talking about? Peggy writes, she would be a good leader and help with the rookies they draft. I think they're going to go for Morrow or Barker with the 8th pick. I think that was supposed to say. What I say that was funny, Kev? Joseph, I literally said she's probably not the same player as the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, but she's a big upgrade, I think. Not just an upgrade, but an upgrade that fills a hole, which is huge. So you get a better player who does more of what you need. Terry Moore says the starting five, though. Lisa Diaz so good, and Natasha's playing in Turkey and in shape. Rick T says CC's assist numbers just spiked. Eric Smith says, yo, Robin, thanks for the vid about your alcohol situation. Really resonated with me. Oh, cool, man. I'm glad. I did that at the beginning of all this. But I'm glad. I'm glad that, I mean, that's the point of stuff like that, right? Long story short, I don't drink alcohol anymore. Not good for me. Susan Larson says, it's been a while, by the way. Hit the like button, like and subscribe to the channel. But I'm glad that had a positive influence on you. Now, this I would be interested in, Mabry. If the Sun really want Melissa Smith to, hook her up with Dejanay over there, Mabry coming back, that would be nasty. Now you'd be in business. And poor Marina Mabry too, right? Like she got traded to what she thought was a contender, and they were a contender, by the way, last year. But then everybody's out the door. Kevin says, how do the Fever stack up against contenders now? They are contenders now, I would say. I mean, I would say it's the Liberty, the Lynx. Then I'd put Indiana and Las Vegas there, I guess. That's probably my top four at this very moment in time. Trying to think if anybody else is in that mix. Well, the Mercury brought in Alyssa Thomas, but they still need to address the rest of their team. The Dream made those moves. I don't know. Like, they're good moves, I guess, but I don't know how, like, Jones and Griner together is going to work. So I'd probably put them fifth right now. But yeah, I think it's Liberty, Lynx, Fever, and Aces are the top four teams. Got a new member, Diana. Diana, thank you for joining. Appreciate that very much. Trying to make my way through the other chats. Lots of them, as always, which is great. Thank you, but sometimes makes it hard to sort through, if I'm being real with you. Def G says now they can trade Alyssa Smith and Katie Lou for someone else big. I mean, I just don't know how much trade value either of them has. I mean, gotta be real. Alyssa Smith is her value is probably lower than it's ever been. And Katie Lou Samuelson makes too much money. Like, would you want to trade for that contract right now? She seems almost impossible to trade. No, DJML, they didn't give picks for Howard. She was a free agent. They just signed her. Or they're going. It'll be official tomorrow, but they just signed her. Samantha says, since the signing of Howard really fills that power forward position, do you think they will go for Morrow in the draft or maybe another 3-and-D like Citrone? Who do you think would fit best if no more trades? I think at that point you go for best available player. I mean, it's impossible to know because I don't know who's going to be left on the board, right? Like both of those players could be gone at that point. So I wouldn't worry about fit as much in the draft at that position, especially, but really in general. I mean, I'm more of a, if it's close, then you go with the position of need. but I think you take the best available player on the board. Moro's a little undersized. Trone's not that fast. Pope mentions Mieseman to the Fever. I don't know if that's happening at this point, but Janelle Salam would be great. Salam says Karma is a Taylor Swift podcast. Christy Hohen says Carter said the other day that she was in talks with several teams. Yeah, okay. That doesn't mean anybody's signing her. I take it for what it's worth. Hannah says it's sad for her. She's a skilled player, but not a very good attitude. I think that's in response to Kennedy Carter too. Martell says, honestly, if there's nobody else available at the 4 we could have gotten, I'm happy they filled it. Yeah, that's, I think, spot on too. Ted Barber says, Della Don has been noticeably quiet. I haven't heard from Elena Della Don in 2 years. I don't know if she's been noticeably quiet or not. It's been the same. I don't think she's been noticeably quiet at all. Erie Cliff says the unrivaled announcers were pretty awful last round. Coverage of the action was poor. Look, that's your opinion and criticism. I don't know what you're specifically referencing. I don't know what last round means. I've heard some mistakes on the broadcast. Overall, I think they've done a good job as a presentation, but you are a member, and that is your opinion, so it is shared. Brett says the Mabry Smith trade would be so fun for sure. I would love that. I would love that. Lindy Smallwood says Satu seems more interested in facilities than actually quality basketball, sending the wrong message. Well, the Liberty did win the championship in fairness, right? Like, which is where she seems to be wanting to head. Terry Moore says, do we even know that the Fever spoke to Sabali and actually wanted her? Love your show, Robin. I have no idea. I get the sense that having gotten more information, so much of that was fan speculation, right? I get the sense that the Fever and Sabali, either it was communicated one way or the other, or both ways, back and forth. We're never interested in one another to that degree. It could have made sense, but either Sabali said, hey, I'm not interested, or the Fever were looking elsewhere because of that, or the Fever were already looking elsewhere. Whatever the case may be, I don't think there was ever any real link between the two parties, if that makes sense. Kevin says members' opinions are fact. This is a reference to something I said in the group chat the other day, where I told him and AJ that my opinions are fact. Rick T says, Hull and Howard working the defense should be fun to watch. Ivan E says, do you have short-term memory? You want Marino on Indiana Fever team after making fun of CC getting poked in the eye? Are you serious? I don't think maybe you made fun of CC getting poked in the eye, but I think that was 3 to the dome. Jimmer says it depends on how well Jewel can bounce back in Vegas. That's a good point. Michael says take nothing less than a first-round pick for Smith. I would take much less than a first-round pick for Nalissa Smith. I would take a functioning player who can contribute in a positive fashion. I don't need a first-round pick. I agree that Phoenix will be interesting, but I have to see their other moves, right? Like Griner's gone. They brought in Thomas. They got Copper. So they're in a decent spot, but it's pending. But I agree. It's interesting. Matthew Miller says Mabry does make a lot, but the Fever probably have about roughly 200,000 left for one player. I mean, I don't think that's happening either. I think this was, if I had to guess, this was probably likely the last big move for the Fever, and everything else will be on the margins. If I had to guess, and that's okay. Janet Blair says, I think Cameron Brink's early season injury really altered to the trajectory of that team and season. For sure. For sure. They got Kelsey Plum now, and I think the Sparks will be in the mix for the playoffs or in the playoffs next year as a result. P. Duggar says we keep Katie Lou. I don't think there's really a choice. I don't think there's really a choice. John Smith says hit like, subscribe, all those good things, pump them up. Pump the jam. Natasha Howard's wife talked trash about CC last season. Oh well. Like, I mean, look, I've been over that before, and I've made my feelings clear on how silly the reaction was last season from media, fans, players, everybody in between. But at the same time, I don't think it's healthy to like hang on any comment anybody's ever made or any action anybody's ever made. Look, Natasha Howard chose to sign with the Indiana Fever. They chose to go after her. She chose to sign. Well, Pope, that Cross Cup was in Europe, but so were the Pacers, who she worked for. I don't know, counting sheep, if Melissa would be great coming off the bench or not. I don't think Melissa Smith helped the team at all last year, at all. Maybe with Stephanie White, maybe. Maybe. They're not going to cut Melissa Smith, David. Sally Gainey says, with Howard, they're a pretty loaded team already. Anyone else would be gravy. I agree. I'm not saying that Liberty needs Satu. I'm just saying what it seems. Tim Johnson says, Robin, who do you think we should target next? I think, again, I think they're probably pretty much done. They're probably pretty much done. I think a backup guard is the next thing to address. They could still use a little help on the wing, but I'm saying Copterman, I think a backup point guard is probably. I didn't say they couldn't cut. I said they won't. I don't think. But I don't know what her. I'd have to look at the contract also. But I do think they should be moving on from Melissa Smith. She makes bad decisions with the basketball, Michael. Where am I at here in this chat? Make sure, again, if you want Members and super chats get their comments read first. I'm doing my best to sort through them, guys. Lots of action here in the chat. I do not have that much time this afternoon. Leslie M says Berger should be the backup guard. Need to develop her more. Yeah, maybe that is too. Like I said, it could be developed within too. I think that this was probably the last. I think. Look, it's almost unrealistic to expect too many moves. They re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. They brought in a new starter. That's pretty significant. They've got a draft pick left. Maybe they could make a trade or something, but no, I would not trade. I would not trade Leone Fibic for Satu Sabali straight up. Fibic is essentially a star playing as a role player right now, in my opinion. Pete P says Malongo would be great, but no chance for her. Yeah, she's not going to be left when the Fever draft, I don't think. I do not believe. John says, to my knowledge, Smith's salary goes against the cap unless traded, but Saxon could release and they would gain that salary cap back in space. Yeah, I don't think she's getting cut again. I doubt it, but I don't think the Fever should take a flyer on Kennedy Carter. No. Look, Kennedy Carter's talented, but it's like a blaring neon warning sign right now. John Smith says, White is a huge upgrade over Sides, and that addition itself makes the team better. Sides basically, yeah, no, I mean, I think that's another thing people are, because it happened so long ago, you forget how much that's going to play into how much better the Fever are this season than they were last season. Wheeler has been released. Did that just happen? I don't think so. She's a free agent, so it wouldn't make sense for her to be released. Yeah, I don't think that has happened. But she's not going to be there. To answer Moonlight Delight's question, I don't think Erica Wheeler will be on the team. Sally Gainey says Melissa will be restricted free agent in 2026. They probably will try to raise her stock before she gets traded outright. I don't think Fever will just let her walk. Yeah, most likely not. Top Gun says Wheeler was the complete opposite of CC as far as point guard play. We can do much better for a backup. Look, Wheeler was a good vet, but she is a vet, right? Like, I just don't think she's part of the future. And CC plays so many minutes that you'd also probably want to play a similar style when she's off the floor. Peggy says they showed a graphic and she wasn't on it. Well, yeah, she's a free agent though. That she's technically not a member of the team anymore. Unless she re-signs with the team. I'm not one of these Celeste Taylor truthers like John Smith here. What did she do? What did she do with the Mercury Lash? Where does everybody get this idea that she's some impact player? Did she do well with Phoenix? She averaged 2 points a game last year. She played 20 minutes with Phoenix a game and scored 3 points. She shot 31% from the floor. I don't understand. Where does that come from? Keyshawn Mehta says Fev show headed for that chip. Perhaps, right? I would expect Heidemann to re-sign with the Lynx. That makes sense, Joe Creed. The Lynx were also expected to. I saw the Lynx. I saw some Lynx moves today. They're okay. They're going to re-sign Heidemann and sign French center Meriam Badjin or something like that. Badian. I don't know how to say it, but I mean, you need vibes and talent, Normac. You need both. John, Katie Lou Samuelson will be staying. Her contract is too big. Who's taking her? I don't know how much second and third round picks are worth in the WNBA. P. Duggar. I got to say, we got to lay off Christy Sides. I thought she did a great job bringing the best out of a 1-8 team. Also, we need to draft Lucy Olson. To the latter point, I mean, I don't know if they need to draft Lucy Olson because she goes to Iowa, but I will say for Christy Sides, look, I think two things can be true, right? When it comes to Christy Sides, two things can be true. Number one, she did do a better job as the season went on, and the fever did improve. What was her goodbye message? Leave it better than you got it, or whatever. That is true. That happened with Christy Sides. But at the same time, I still believe Stephanie White is a significant upgrade over Christy Sides. From what I saw with the Connecticut Sun, from the way I've just even heard her speak, right? You can get some of this just simply from hearing them talk. So as far as that goes, yeah. I mean, you get an upgrade, but it doesn't mean you have to bash. I'm not saying Christy Sides is a bum or doesn't deserve another job or was holding the team back, in a terrible way. But I am saying I think they got a better coach, and that can lead to them improving. Max says Indiana Fever winning the chip this season. I'm sure Fever fans are feeling that way right now, right? You got to be feeling that way right now. Makes sense to feel that way right now. For sure. For sure. I mean, big time moves. John Smith didn't agree with that comment from before. Sides is the worst coach of basketball I've ever seen. The Fever fans are not big Christy Sides fans. I defended Christy Sides more than most, by the way. Black Crew Volume 2. I got a lot of heat for it. But at the same time, I wasn't like a huge fan. So it was just like for sitting somewhere in between. Henry Patterson says, I think the Fever will find a way to trade Smith where she can play with her girlfriend. If it is Connecticut, the Fever will probably get a player and a draft pick next year. I mean, I don't know how much Smith is. Guys, we can't think about this. You can't sit there and talk about how Smith hurt the team and you need to replace her and then hope somebody's giving you something good for her. They are privy to the same information. I know that's a tendency fans have, like they overvalue their players, but I agree, Stern. Unless Berger can develop into that, they do need a backup point guard. They need a just-in-case point guard. You don't want Caitlin to play every minute of every game in the regular season either. So I do think they need a point guard. A backup point guard. What did you say, Ernesto? Are we not going to talk about Bronny being out of the league? He's not out of the league. I think Bronny James is doing just fine for the 55th pick in the draft, by the way. Just fine. Like, I've never heard anyone discuss the 55th pick in the draft before in the history of basketball until Bronny James. Where was Jokic drafted? So maybe Jokic drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. 41st. But you get the point. People believe in Burger here in the chat. Suwita says Burger is the backup point guard, but I'd like them to sign Tiffany Hayes as a combo guard. Yeah, I don't know how many more signings they'll be making. Thanks for joining the live. Got about 10 more minutes, guys. I do have to get to a basketball class, so get any of those chats in on this Friday afternoon. Is that 4 shows this week? I think it might be. Like, subscribe, please, also. I always feel weird reminding that. Like, it's like you would think that's implied, but apparently it helps to say it. Apparently. Lots of Tip Hayes love in the chat. Alvin White Jr. says non-basketball. Can't wait for the Royal Rumble tomorrow. I am with you, Alvin. I am pumped for the Royal Rumble tomorrow. It's one of those special moments, bonding with my kids around the Royal Rumble, because that's how my son really got into wrestling in WWE too, through the Royal Rumble. It's one of the most star-studded Royal Rumbles in history, I would say, tomorrow. And I'm excited about it as well, Alvin. So I'm with you. Kevin says CC at the Rumble tomorrow. I doubt it, but there's always a chance. It is in Indianapolis. But I doubt it. I have never seen CC reference wrestling before. I've seen Bianca Belair try and get her to go. She's extended the invite, the EST, to the GOT. P. Duggar says, wasn't comparing sides to White and Lucy Olsen for point guard depth with her size, scoring ability, and athleticism is a no-brainer pick. I wasn't a factor here. I got you. Look, I just don't know, maybe Lucy Olsen's available later in the draft also, which is certainly a possibility. Definitely a possibility. But I understand what you're trying to say. Like, you feel a little bad for Christy Sides, everybody piling on her. Why does CC need to stay away from wrestling? Tyrese will be there. So maybe she'll pull up with Tyrese Halliburton. The possibility. WNBA gave a game to Brazil to Sky to appease Angel participation trophy. Or maybe, just maybe, they thought it was a good idea. I mean, come on, y'all. Can't be that petty. Going back to LSU, it makes sense. And Angel Reese, look at Angel Reese with their marketing deals right now. I mean, like, she knows how to brand herself and promote herself. There's no question about that. She's got the McDonald's thing. She retired her mom, by the way. Shouts to Angel Reese for that. That was cool. Camila Cardoso, yeah. She's been killing it overseas. It'll be interesting to see how she does with Courtney Vandersloot. on the sky. But that's another tie to what we were just saying. Stern says, watching wrestling in the 1960s with my grandfather, some of the best memories. Hell, man. Yeah, my grandmother in Mississippi was a big wrestling fan, like territory stuff. She had all like the old Ric Flair, Arn Anderson action figures. We used to go around that house. My brother and I got into it because my aunt at the time worked at a video store in Vicksburg, Mississippi. And we would be down there because my mom's from Mississippi. And we'd be down there and we'd go to the video store and rent a rack of tapes from on Coliseum Home Video, they were called, all the wrestling tapes. That's how I saw The Undertaker's first appearance. Shawn Michaels put Marty Jannetty through the barbershop window. Other moments like that. Bruno Sammartino and Andre the Giant. John Brady goes old school. Old school. For sure. I did Bust It Open last week on Sirius XM, and Jay Uso, you guys might hear me say Yeet at the end of the show. He's the Yeet guy. He saw the he saw the video. I think this is just a poor excuse. Tariq, no one hates Cece. They don't like her fans. Big difference. I think it's bullshit. Look, she's got a lot of fans, just like anybody who's that big is going to have a lot of fans, and some of them will be worse than others. Some of them will be better than others. I've found CC fans for the most part to be great. But people try to use it as a way. It's like most of them aren't are trolls, by the way, who are instigating or whatever. But it's a way to kind of instigate and attack CC without attacking CC. Not saying you, but people do it all the time through the fans, through the guy. Oh, CC needs to speak up because the fans are saying this, but nobody says that. I mean, like just in the last WNBA season, you had Sky players in tears at their press conference. Nobody said a word about that because of what Sky fans did. They were in tears. Not a peep. It's only Caitlin Clark fans that people jump on because Caitlin Clark came and shook up the game. Justin says, have you forgiven Howard's wife? I don't know what Howard's wife said, did. I'm never going to think about it. Unless it was something terrible. Again, Natasha Howard was a free agent. She could have gone anywhere. She decided to go to the Fever. The Fever were looking and trying to get specific players. They clearly targeted her. I don't think any previous comment that her wife made, which I don't know what it was, regardless, I don't think it matters. I think it's irrelevant. See some of the other comment. Look, I'm not doing the whole race thing today. There's people that I think again with increased volume, you're always going to see more of the worst along with the best. And I don't think that goes for any particular fan base. It's sports fans. Howard's wife gave it all is good on Instagram today. I am certainly tired of it, Adrian. Thank you for it is exhausting. It has nothing to do with anything. I really do, I almost think race has almost nothing to do with anything when it comes to Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. It's been such an outsized thing because Angel Reese is black and Caitlin Clark is white. But there's been so many great white players before. No one's ever brought it up to this degree. I've never heard it brought up on the NBA side to this degree. It has nothing to do with how good Caitlin Clark is. I think on the list of reasons why Caitlin Clark is popular, it is not near the top. In fact, the way she plays basketball is the reason. Enough. Just fucking enough. P. Duggar says CC is fine. She just needs to trust her teammates. She does trust her teammates. I think she did. I don't need to talk about what Dejanay said. Look, Dejanay brings some attention to herself. she's entitled to feel the way she does. I'm sure the vast majority of WNBA players are not exactly thrilled about the current administration. Um, Stern says Howard is a big that can run. That's what counts. Yeah, I think that's important. LBW says no talk of Unrivaled this week. They haven't played. They'll play tonight. I mean, like, when I've said this about Unrivaled, this was my basic verdict on Unrivaled. It's something that exists that didn't exist before. It's an entertainment option. Take it or leave it. There's no need to Unraveled. You call it. There's no need to shit on it. Why? What do you get out of shitting on it? Adrian Scott says so true. Diana never had to bring it up. Joker never had to. Sabrina doesn't have to. Stewie doesn't have to. All of a sudden, Caitlin have to. Yeah, it's true. Sally says, dude, Fever were the enemy. What everyone has said was water under the bridge. You know. All right. Did I get to all the super chats? I think I did. I believe so. I just got a text asking if I will be ready by 3. So I have to be ready about by 3. Henry Patterson, Fever rising. How is Tyler Marsh going to make Reese and Cardoso work? They both can't be on the floor at the same time and spread the floor. Well, I think Courtney Vandersloot helps in that because Courtney Vandersloot can help direct traffic on the floor. So you got that. That is a positive. I'm with you on the conundrum that is faced with the two of them together. Angel can clean up if they want to play through Cardoso, but I think it will be a challenge to have them both on the floor. But that's why they have a new coach, and they have to at least try, considering those are their two most talented pieces. Tony Aiken says, Robin, CC fans think if CC retired tomorrow, the WNBA would fold. Look, it's two things are true, right? Like, you're allowed to like and root and appreciate the rest of the WNBA and the players, and they're all benefiting from Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark exploded the league to a degree that it was never going to get to otherwise. But, Caitlin Clark is the one trying to promote the WNBA and the rest of the players with her All-Star game decision. So I just don't get what people gain. We all know, anybody who knows anything knows that Caitlin Clark is the catalyst for the explosion in popularity and the most popular player in the league, and it's not close. But there's no benefit to her to not, rooting for Unrivaled. And you don't have to watch it. No one's saying you have to watch it. But I don't get, actively celebrating any negativity around it, when I think it's only been a positive thing. People are getting paid more, they're getting to work out more, they're getting to train more, and fans get another option for entertainment. There's no downside. There is no downside. I will continue to root for Unrivaled and support it. Diane and the new member, CC got us to watching NCAA games. If something or nothing happened to CC, I'd be looking for Olivia Miles, Flau'jae, Paige, and Hannah. Yeah, that's helped build up the rest of the league for sure. Leanne says, ready for that cruise. I haven't been on, I've been going for a year straight, y'all. A year straight. I'm going on a cruise with my family the day after the Super Bowl. For that week, I'll be out. I'll bring my stuff with me in case of emergency, I guess, but I'm planning to unplug as much as possible. So during that time frame when you don't hear or see from me, that's why. And then I'll be back with a vengeance right after that. Zal Sensor says, Unrivaled is fun. I've watched every game so far. James Hudson says, the Fever starting lineup is going to be fire next year. CC, Kelsey, AB, Natasha, and Lexi. Agree with you. Good. Pope, I hope you enjoy your cruise. The Pope Frank. Lindy Smallwood, I think, telling me I need to enjoy the time. I will. Don't worry. It's hard for me. Taking time off has always been historically hard for me. Need to go on just enjoy your family. Thank you. Yes, Lindy, I appreciate that comment. I appreciate all y'all and the fact that you seem to genuinely care about me. Like that is super cool, which I think goes to show you the connection that has been established here. All right, guys, I do have to go. I have to go teach this basketball class. Please like, subscribe. Any comments and anything, uh, you know, get them in. I'll try to get to them later. But I did want to hop on. We got 1,000 concurrents again today. So clearly, you guys were into it, and I wanted to make sure I fired up the live to react to the news. Have a great weekend, everybody. Obviously, I'll keep the channel populated, and I'll be around, not going anywhere. But you get the point. Till next time. Yeet.